Hi guys, welcome to my channel. This is Shanki, and in this channel we are going to cover from basic to advanced levels of Swift concepts. So today we are going forward with a very basic concept of Swift, which is optionals. Optionals is generally a type that represents either a value or the absence of the value, or nil we can say. Options is denoted by appending question mark after the type declaration. We'll check in detail how it works. So optional type is actually an enum which has two cases. One is some and one is none. Some means it has some value, none means it has nothing, means nil value. So let's jump to the Xcode and check how it works. So here I have taken main variable which is of type optional, so I have denoted it with the question mark. So what it says that name is a type of string and which may have a value or may not. So here I have assigned Janki string to this, so it has some type. So the enum will be created a state with some because it has some value. So now another variable is like the same string, type of string, and here we have make it optional and we have assigned nil. So the enum will create a state with type nil which has no value. So if you are going to directly try to access this name X, it will give us a crash or some errors. But if I am going to print this name, so it is going to give us the string Janki which we have already assigned. So yes, so now if we want to use the optional, then we must unwrap the optional to use it. There are few options and a few ways available how we can use or unwrap a particular optional. First, we can have the if else block. What if else block does is, we can check with the condition if name has some value, then we are going to use name, else we are going to bring the toast to the error. Another one is which is most used and the like very much familiar concept is force unwrapping in Swift. You may ask these questions in interview also because it is very basic and essential concept which we are going to use like n number of times while writing the code. So yes, let's move forward with the force unwrapping and understand what it is. Force unwrapping is generally denoted by the exclamation after the optionals. So like if you want to force unwrap the optional, then you need to use the exclamation mark. So let's go to Xcode and check. Right, so if I have this output string, right, which says success. Here I have assigned value and I have print the output string with the exclamation which says it is being force unwrapped. So what does it say? What does this means is output string must have some value. If it does not have any value, then it is going to crash. So like this is very unsafe to use this because if you don't know whether it will have a value or not, and if you are using it, if you are force unwrapping it, then it may crash if it doesn't get any value. So use force unwrapping only and only when you know that this is going to get some value, right? So let's run this. It is printing here success because it has some value. If I pass nil here, so it does not have any value and we are accessing it, we are force unwrapping it, so it is throwing us error and exception and it will crash. So make sure to assign, like make sure to use force unwrap only when you are sure that this particular variable is going to have some value for sure. Let's move forward with the another way to unwrap an optional, which is optional binding. Optional binding is actually similar to if else block. It it has only difference that if optional has a value which is not nil, then unwrap the value is assigned to a new constant, and further operations are performed on that particular constant. So like in this both if let statement and guard statement, we are going to achieve the same thing. So let's jump to the Xcode and check. Like I have this first name variable which is of type optional, right? The string optional, and I am using the if let statement here. So it is very similar to if else block. It checks the condition, but here we are creating a new variable which is first name, and we are assigning this first name. Like it checks if the first name has some value, then only it will execute this block, and if does not have any value, it will pass this block. So we will be sure that first name had some value or not. Like if first name has some value, then only we are going to use this variable here. The scope of the first name will remain in this curly braces. And if we check the guard statement, which will work similarly, but there is only one difference. Like it will similarly create a new variable, new constant, and it has this middle name. And if the middle name has some value, then we are going to have like we are going to use the middle name here outside of this block, because this constant will have scope outside of this curly bracket, and for if let the scope is restricted to in the curly bracket. So here we are retaining a statement like if middle name has no value which is of type nil, then print the error or print the toast that it does not have, or if you don't want to print, just return. So it will be written from here, and the below code, the rest of the code will not be executed because of this return. So we are achieving the type safety, like our code will not crash, or it will not like give any further error if we are using middle name. So like I hope this is clear. Like if let statement has the scope of the constant variable into the curly braces, and for the guardlet we have wider scope outside this curly braces, so we can use them accordingly as per our needs. Let's check the another way to unwrap an option, which is option chaining. You use option chaining in place where you're dealing with multiple option values at once. This means that when you want to check the multiple optionals, then we are using the optional chaining. For example, if we have to prepare a food, we need vegetables, and vegetables grows to grow the vegetable, we need water and sunlight. This means there is a chain dependency of events. Like we are dependent on vegetables for food, and vegetables themselves are dependent on water and light to grow. So this is a chaining involves, and to verify each dependency, like whether the particular instance is nil or not, we are using the optional chaining, and it may include like one or more, like more than one question marks in a particular statement. So that what is about the optional chaining. Now the last one is null coalescing operator. What is null coalescing operator? It checks if the particular optional has some value or not. If it does not have any value, then we are providing a default value, the default static value, to the variable which it is assigning to. So like if there is a case that our optional has nil value, then the variable will be assigned to a default value. So let's see how it works. I am having this input screen string optional type, and I want to use this input screen, right? So like if I have some value in input screen, then user input will be assigned to that value, and if I don't have any value, so it will be assigned to a default value. Let's see how it works. See, currently we have not assigned any value, so our optional has nil value, so it took the default string. The I must say that nil coalescing operator uh, is denoted by this double question mark, right? The right side of the double question mark will have the default string or default value which can be of any type, and the left side will have our optional. So like if I assign some value to this, so it must take user input must take this string. So see, I hope like this is clear now, right? So this way the nil coalescing operator works. So now let's check the last and like very least used concept of the optional, which is implicitly unwrapped process. So here we are implicitly unwrapping the optional. When can we implicitly unwrap? We can only implicitly unwrap the optional when like we want our code to stop executing when the optional does not have any value. So as I have said, it is like very risky and it may crash the code, so like we should like least use this, but we must know what it is and how it works. So here I have this example. If I say this is implicitly optional, which is of type integer and have the value 10, so like when this shows that it is implicitly unwrapped. So when I will be printing this, it must have 10 values, so the code will pass. But another one is I am assigning nil here, so it does not have any value, and when I am going to print this, it is going to crash. Let's check this in Xcode. Right, so here I have variable x which has the value 10. So if I am implicitly wrapping it, it has the value 10, and if this is another variable y, so the y does not have any value assigned, so it is a nil value, and I am implicitly assigning this. So when I will be printing y, so it is going to crash. So while using the implicitly unwrapped optional, we need to make sure that the particular optional must have the value. Otherwise we should not use this because it may create our app or program. I hope this is clear. So thank you guys, this was about the optionals, and it is very important and a very easy topic of Swift, and you must have uh, these concepts clear, and this is widely asked in interviews. So I hope I could help you, and please let me know if you have any doubts, query in the comment section. Thank you.